Hello, I'm going to talk about adults for a little bit and what appears to be the causes of it and what kind of symptoms they show. Now, I'm just talking about adults. The developing brain seems to have a totally different set of symptoms. First off, I'd like to talk about progressing PTSD. They call it chronic PTSD, but I call it progressing because it seems to turn into full-blown schizophrenia after a while. This is my unprofessional opinion. This is just from being locked up with them. Anyway, with these people, you'll see language problems, blah, 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 blah. Or you'll hear them say weird things like, I'm going out to my truck to get some fun, when they're saying I'm going out to the truck to get my gun. They get violent, but in their non-violent phases, they have issues. They usually know that they have issues, but they'll either try to contain it, they'll deny it, or they will explode. Anyway, when it becomes paranoid schizophrenia, they'll lose a lot of, it depends on the degree, they'll lose a lot of awareness of what has happened to them, and they'll also have these weird language problems and confusion, massive confusion. They're probably the ones that are going to attack you too. So it's really important, in my opinion, if you have PTSD, to get that checked out, because eventually it progresses to full-blown paranoid schizophrenia, in my opinion, or just watching people. Maybe it's a different disorder that you don't agree with. I don't care. It's my layman opinion. Yes, so anyway, next we have drug-induced. This is when trips go bad or good. If they've had a bad trip, you'll see massive paranoia. You'll see them talking about weird, bizarre things, and they will be disorganized almost every single time. If they've had a good trip, they'll be talking about how fluffy dragons love them. Okay, and this will either go away, or if they've damaged their brain in a way that it doesn't, it will progress, and they will become very disorganized people, but very colorful. Next, we have, and some people have combinations of these things. We have hypoxia-induced, and these are usually very disorganized people or very apathetic. They will, you'll see a lot of movement with them at first, like you'll see them pace and stuff, and it just depends on the injury, like how bad it's been, what it does, but they will get very chopped up and weird things and repetitive. Yeah, they usually like to wander, so just let them wander. The next I call typical injury-induced schizophrenia, and this is when something has injured the brain that was not a hypoxia injury, drugs, or PTSD. Yes, these people will be usually apathetic or violent and will have massive memory problems. So anyway, I call it evaporating memories, and it happens with hypoxia-induced as well. But a key feature you'll notice about both of these, the hypoxia and the typical injury, is that they'll repeat things that might have happened right before they came down with this. Like, there's a guy on here named Steven who has schizophrenia. His memory has evaporated, and he's obviously, or in my opinion, suffered a blow to the head. And he was dirty fighting. That's what he talks about over and over and over again, is dirty fighting. Yeah, so it's hard when you look at people to know if they have, if they're actually hearing voices or not, because a lot of times, like I said, they've heard voices before, or they've seen literal things, but they're like, their brains are so messed up that they have no concept of time. So like, they'll say, oh yes, I heard voices, when they heard them years ago, or they're hearing your voice talking to them. So really, voices are a prominent feature of paranoid schizophrenia. If they've been seeing literal things or something, it's probably deterioration. And olfactory hallucinations and a bunch of other stuff is typical of brain damage. It's totally different on the developing brain, but in adults, this is typically what you seem to see when they come in. Just my unprofessional opinion from being locked up and having these issues myself. Like, for the longest time, I said I've had schizophrenia a year, and I just left Virginia. Obviously, those things had happened a while ago, and that's right around when the injury occurred. I just repeated those things over and over and over again, and it took me a while to realize that I was wrong, because, yeah. But obviously, my injury was mild, and I'm recovering a little bit, although I have some memory problems. Yeah, I got lucky. Anyway, a lot of these people do not get lucky, and they're stuck like that forever, or they do recover and, you see them make progress. Yeah, but that's just my humble opinion on how you can distinguish what's happened to them. They need to be doing screening or something, because if they can stop it from deteriorating, they can prevent these people from losing their lives. Yeah, I would have liked to have gone to university and stuff, but my dreams have all been destroyed by this. Prior to my injury, I had progressing PTSD. In my opinion, that's what I call it. And it hadn't like gone to full blown yet, but yeah, I definitely know the difference between one and the other. I do know the difference between those two. Yeah, so any opinions are welcome.